6 years ago, I wake up at midday. My hands are violently shaking. I am sweating profusely. I can see dark, shadowy figures moving around in the corners of my eyes as I hallucinate. I peel back the covers and I drag my 140-kilogram frame across the bedroom floor. I am knocking over empty cider cans as I go. I reach the bathroom and I'm immediately sick, vomiting violently. I realize with horror that there is more than a little blood in the sick. I drag myself over to the sink where I'm sick again. I look into the mirror and I don't recognize the face looking back at me. The skin is yellowing. It's flabby, obese, and the eyes are shockingly bloodshot. I realize at this point that if something doesn't change, I was going to die. I was circling the drain. About a week after that, I am sat in the doctor's office while she reads off some numbers. My blood pressure was 145/95. It should be 120/80 or lower. I was in a hypertensive state. My low-density lipoprotein cholesterol was 196. It should be lower than 100. My ALT, which is alanine aminotransferase, which is the measure of liver function, was 380. It should be between 29 and 33. My liver was beginning to cirrhosis. The liver can recover from a great deal, but once it's reached a certain point, it begins to scar, and nothing can recover from that scarring. In terms of my weight, I was type 2 obese, and it only goes up to 3. There are only 3 categories, and I was type 2 obese, very heavy. Mentally, I was depressed, very anxious. Suicide was on my mind every day. Fast forward 6 years. I wake up early every single morning and I'm immediately straight into a cold shower. I run every day. I'm lifting weights. My blood pressure is now 115/75, and that is under the 120/80 that is recommended. My low-density lipoprotein cholesterol is now 80, and it should be lower than 100, so it's within the optimal range. My ALT, the alanine aminotransferase, is 24, which is lower than the normal range of between 29 and 33. I'm a healthy weight, so I'm no longer classified as obese. I'm not type 2 obese, not type 1 obese, not overweight. I am a healthy weight. And in terms of my mood and my mental health, I am confident, full of energy. I don't feel anxious, and I never have thoughts of ending my own life. This podcast is about the change that happened. It is about the steps I took in order to turn my life around. And my goal and my aim is to motivate and inspire others to make similar changes. So I would like to talk about the 3 major changes that have happened. These are the changes to my weight, the change to my mental health, and the change to my addiction. And I'll be doing this over the course of 3 podcasts. So in this one, I'm going to be focusing primarily on weight. In the second one, primarily on mental health. And in the third one, primarily on addiction. Now, it is important to state straight off the bat that all of these things go together. It's not like there were 3 separate changes to make. All of these changes reflect a change in attitude, a change in perspective, and a change in the fundamental way that I approached my life. And it's important to state that my overall message is that change is possible. That change is happening all the time, and all we need to do is make a choice to move forward in a direction that will leave you feeling happier, healthier, and stronger. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, work day and night for it, give up your time, your sleep for it. If only desire of it makes you quite mad enough never to tire of it, makes you hold all other things tawdry and cheap for it. If life seems all empty and useless without it, and all that you scheme and you dream is about it. If gladly you'll sweat for it, fret for it, plan for it, lose all your terror of God or man for it. If you'll simply go after that thing that you want with all your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope and confidence, stern pertinacity. If neither cold poverty, famished and gaunt, nor sickness nor pain of body or brain can turn you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, you'll get it. That is a poem by Burton Braley called Success. Those words have been with me since day one of my transformation. They are words that really stuck with me, and they are words that ring true in any endeavor that I go into, in anything I try to achieve. I recognize that if I want something to happen, if I want a change to happen in my life, if I wish to achieve it, I have to want it. And you have to want it with everything that you have. So this section is about weight loss, and this is how most people find me. They find me because they would like to lose weight, and they see my story and they see my transformation, and they want to know how I did it. Well, I'll tell you what I did. I ran and I ran and I ran and I ran. In the morning I was running. At midday I was running. In the evening I was running. Birthdays I was running. Christmas I was running. Had to run. I had to run. I had to run. I had to run. I ran and I ran and I ran and I ran. So help me God did I rack up those miles. I was pounding that pavement. I was hitting that tarmac. This was absolutely crucial to my transformation, not just because of the physical change, but the change to my attitude and the change to my mental state, because it was tough. It was hard work, not just physically, but it was hard to drag myself out when I really didn't feel like it. Especially weighing 140 kilos, running was not fun. And where I was living at the time, there were a lot of hills, and to run up those hills carrying all that excess weight, it was painful. But this was crucial because I knew that I needed to lose weight if I was going to save my life. So I really needed to get out and run. And I decided I was going to run every day. and I wasn't going to listen to any external voices, and I started to ignore those internal voices too. Those unhelpful internal voices that say, oh, you went for a run yesterday. Oh, you can't go for a run today. It's raining. Oh, it's cold out there. Oh, your ankle's a little bit sore. I don't think you should run today. And oh, maybe you should just take it easy on yourself. I mean, after all, life's too short, isn't it? You don't want to spend all your time out running. All of these voices I simply ignored, and I dragged myself out for that run. And I will never forget those runs. I will never forget just lacing up those trainers, getting my MP3 player in, getting some music in, getting out and moving. It was an act of defiance. I was saying no more. No more. I'm not having this anymore. I'm not going to be sitting around depressed, anxious, lazy and overweight. I was going to take this time and I was going to spend this energy to lose this weight, to turn my life around. And I was going to do it by getting out, moving. So I ran and I ran and I ran and I ran. And something happened to me whilst I was out. Because it began purely as a physical thing. I simply wanted to lose as much weight as possible. I wanted to get to a healthy weight. But when I was out there, just racking up those miles, grinding away, and the legs were in pain and it was hard to breathe and I was sweating. But something happened to my mind, because when you are pushing yourself through something like that, you don't have any time to be anxious. You can't feel depressed when you are pushing yourself through some cardio sessions like that. It was the first time I experienced something of a meditative state, because my mind was entirely focused on something else and I wasn't caught in this constant stream of negative, anxious thought patterns. It also has a huge effect on your self-esteem and confidence when you start to push yourself through things even if you don't want to do it. It's something you can do every single day to overcome the negative chatter in your mind. Your mind will always tell you to take it easy, to slow down, to go back. And if you listen to that voice too often, this starts to have a negative effect on your self-esteem and confidence, because you are always shying away from difficult things. But the only way to achieve anything is to overcome difficulty, to overcome pain, to overcome adversity. If you can overcome these things, you will build a strength that you have never felt before. And this is what happened to me day after day after day. I started to realize that maybe, just maybe, things could be different for me. Because when I first started, I just had this image in my head that I was just a fat guy. I'm just a fat guy who's just trying to lose a couple of pounds. But the more I did this, the more I hit those runs, and as the weight started to drop off, just this little spark was ignited in me, this little fire that said, hang on a minute, I'm out here doing this every day, and this weight is falling off. So what if? What if? What if things could be different? What if things could change? What if I'm not just a fat guy? What if I'm not lazy? What if I don't have to be depressed my whole life? What if I don't have to be obese my whole life? What if I can turn this around? So that's what I did. Because once that feeling started to ignite in me, all I had to do was start feeding that fire. So if you want to get motivated, first you have to get started. You have to just get moving. Just lace up those trainers, and maybe it's not running for you. Maybe you've just got to start with walking. If that's all you can do, then that's all you can do, and that is absolutely fine. Maybe it's cycling. Maybe you just need to go and dig out that bike again and just get onto that road and just start going. Just something something physical that is going to burn some calories. And you have to start looking at your own thought processes here, because your mind will say, oh, not today, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll wait until I've got the right equipment. No, you must start today, because today is the only day that there is, and you have to get out there and get after it right now. There is no feeling like it when you apply that effort. You apply that energy, you give up that time and that peace and that sleep for it. You get out there and you start making it happen. And when you start to get that feeling of, well, hang on, what if? What if things really could be different? What if I could make that permanent change? When you start getting that feeling, you must feed that fire. You must trust and believe in that feeling, because we all have two voices in our head. We have the voice that wants truly what is best for us, and we have that voice of negativity, we have that voice of self-doubt, we have that voice of low self-esteem. Or that voice. Follow that voice that says, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Go and get it done. I am telling you that you are made of far stronger stuff than you believe. You are made of far stronger stuff than you believe. It's hard. It is hard. I know that. And I wish I could say that weight loss is easy, but it's not. It's hard work. But the good news is you only ever have to deal with one day, and that day is today. So get out and get moving today. And when that feeling comes in, when you start to feel good because you got out and you started moving, trust that feeling. I will never forget an experience I had. This was about a month in, and it had been hard work up until that point. Every time I went running, it was hard. I had to drag myself out. Every single step felt heavy. My legs felt heavy. I wasn't very fit at all. So every single step was difficult, and I was fighting the entire time. But then one day I was going out for my run. It was in the evening. I was going out. I laced up those familiar old trainers. I got that MP3 on with that playlist, and I got myself out for that run. Now, the first part of my run every single time was this steep ass hill. It is steep. It was a big incline, and it was the very first thing on my run. And usually I would have to haul my 140 kilo frame up this hill. It was always tough and it was always slow. But this time I started running and I flew up that hill. It wasn't a walk, it wasn't a jog, it wasn't even a run, it was a sprint. I had no idea where this feeling came from. I rocketed up. I could just feel all of this strength and this energy and this explosive power in my legs as I just flew up this hill. I was stunned. And for the first time in my life, I felt fit. I felt like Captain America running up that hill. I truly felt it. And then not only had I sprinted up that hill, I still had energy in the tank. So it was game on. Let's go. It's pedal to the metal time. And I started running and I took off at a decent pace, and I was off. I was set. And this usual run where I'm just slow and lumbering around, I was rocketing around this course. And I could feel the oxygen in my lungs. The sun was shining. I was waving at people. They were waving back. It just felt magical. And this, from where I had gone, from where I had been, from that place of depression and addiction, that place of misery and sadness and despair, all of a sudden I was feeling this very true, natural feeling of accomplishment and achievement. It was a sense of vitality. And I ran. And when I finally finished that run and I got home, the evening sun was setting and the sky was alight with golden fire. Those sorts of sunsets that really stay with you. The clouds were gold and the sky was deep with its rich colours of blue and purple and orange, and the sun was this beaming deep orange. It was beautiful. And there is a feeling that washed over me that is a feeling that stays with me, and it's the energy that carries me to this day. It keeps me moving, it keeps me driving forwards, because that feeling, it was a feeling of things can change. Things can improve, and they can improve for the better, and they can improve permanently. I realized at this point that there was no going back. There really was no going back then, because I had felt it. I really had felt it. I felt that the power was in my hands, and suddenly this fire was lit inside me. Because now I didn't want to just lose 1 or 2 kilos. I was going to lose it all. And I didn't want to just be sort of okay in my fitness and just about there. I wanted to be fit, happy and healthy, and I wanted to be fit, happy and healthy for the rest of my life. And I didn't know at that point like how I was going to do it. I didn't know the exact way that I should approach this and how I was going to deal with my addiction, how I was going to deal with my mental health. But I just understood at that point that even if I don't know right now, even if I don't feel like I can do it right now, there will come a time when I do know. And there will come a time when all of the pieces are going to come together, and when this journey is going to really understand the path that I need to take. And so sometimes we can't always say that I know how I'm going to do this, but what we can say is I am going to find a way. So if you found this podcast because you're wanting to lose some weight, I want to reaffirm to you that it is possible, that it is truly, truly possible. That change isn't just something that can happen. Change is inevitable. You are not going to be the same person in 5 years' time. Ask yourself, are you the same person that you were 5 years ago? You're not going to be that same person in 5 years' time. All we have to do is alter our direction and change in the direction that we want to change. And it is absolutely possible. And I'm going to go into some more detail here, into some more specifics. But really, the details and the specifics aren't actually that important. What is important is your attitude. What is important is your effort. Often, we simply think too much. I didn't think about it when I went out running. In fact, I was trying to turn my brain off. I'd had quite enough of my brain. I'd had quite enough of anxious thoughts, negative thoughts, depressed thoughts, suicidal thoughts. All of those thoughts, I wasn't having it anymore. It was time to get into my body. Forget the brain, forget the mind. Let's just get into the body. You are built of strong stuff, and this stuff can get stronger still. You have to get out there and get moving. So it might not be running for you, it might be walking, might be cycling, could be anything. Anything that burns some calories. Get moving today. Get moving right here, right now. You just decide. Just decide enough is enough. I'm not having this anymore. I'm not going to be overweight anymore. I don't like this. I don't like looking in the mirror and not liking what I see. I'm done with that. I know what it feels like to look at a chair or a stool and not know if it's going to take my weight. To walk into a restaurant or a pub or anywhere, take a look at the chair and stool and think, actually, I'm going to need to find a stronger chair because I don't think this stool is going to take my weight. That is not a nice feeling. That is a very unpleasant feeling. And it can change, and it needs to change, and it needs to change now, because enough is enough. It stops today. I know what it feels like to look at turnstiles and narrow doorways and things and think, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fit through that. I'm going to need to squeeze through that. That is not a nice feeling. Or when you're out with friends and there's a steep hill and everyone's just walking up this hill and you're getting left behind and you're sweating and you're out of breath. That is not a nice feeling. And I know what it feels like when you go in to just buy yourself a nice new pair of jeans, to buy yourself some nice new clothes, and to go to the cashier and say, do you have this in my size? And for that cashier to come back and say, I'm really sorry, sir. Not only do we not have this size, they don't make them in that size. This state is not a pleasant state to be in. And it is so damaging for your self-esteem, your self-worth, and your self-confidence. So it needs to change with a sense of urgency. With a sense of urgency. Let's start turning it around. I don't care how many times you've tried and failed in the past. We all have. Everybody has tried and failed to lose weight, to get fitter at some point in the past. But I am not going to let you fall into this self-destructive mentality that, oh, I've tried before, therefore I just can't do it. I'm just no good. There's just something different about me. I'm not going to be able to do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself. I'm going to go into some more details about how you can make this happen. The first thing that we have to do when we want to lose weight, get fitter, healthier, and happier is to set that goal. Set that target that I want to be healthy, I want to be happy, I want to be fit, I want to be a healthy weight. And we need to set that as our goal and as our target to go towards. And I want to ask you, the first thing that I want to ask you is, do you really want that goal? Do you really want that target? Because if you want it enough, you will find a way to make it happen. And if you don't want it enough, you will find an excuse. And it's this excuse that will constantly trip you up. But you need to really, really, truly want it. And the first thing that you have to understand is that it is such a great thing when you decide to get fitter, healthier, and happy. It is a choice that you are making to stand up for yourself, to stand up for your self-esteem, to stand up for your self-worth, to stand up for your self-confidence, for your happiness, your energy, and your vitality. It is not a selfish thing to look after yourself. Most people feel like if they start to work on themselves and if they start to work on improving themselves, that this is somehow self-indulgent and selfish. It's not, because your family and friends around you want you to be happy and healthy and strong. And you can only help other people, and you can only be a positive influence in other people's lives if you are happy, if you are healthy, if you are fit, and your energy is up, because your positive energy will radiate out to those around you. When you take action to improve yourself, to move forwards, it lifts everybody up around you. Like water in a dock, when it rises, all of the ships will rise. So I want to ask you, if you can set yourself this goal to finally sort this thing out. Most people have this as a background goal in their mind, something that is just sitting there in the back of their mind as something that they would like to achieve maybe at some point. Well, I'm here to tell you that today is the day. Make a choice. Decide that this is the thing that I want. I want to be fitter. I want to be healthier. I want to be a healthy weight. And we have to set the bar high. Most people have such low self-confidence, such low self-esteem, and such low self-worth that they set the bar far too low for themselves. They set the bar at this level of, oh, well, maybe I can lose 1 or 2 kilos, maybe half a stone. I mean, I'll never be fit. I'll never actually be skinny. I'll never actually look muscular and toned. I just maybe can lose 1 or 2 pounds. That has to stop. That mentality has to stop. You have to go all the way. All the way. Because the other thing is, if we set the bar too low, if we set that bar too low, we have this idea that, oh, well, if I only want to lose 1 or 2 pounds, then it's going to be somewhat easier to achieve that target. I'm sorry to say it, but this goal is going to be easy. There is no easy way with this. Turning your life around, getting fitter, getting leaner, healthier, all of these things, it is tough. It is hard work. And I'm afraid that the fitness industry and all of these Joe Wicks people have totally lied to you because they want your money. They don't want you to be fitter. They don't be happy and healthy. They want your money. And the way to get you in the door and the way to get you to buy these products is to sell you this false image, this idea that losing weight and getting healthy, it can be quick, it can be easy, it can be painless, and it can be fun. No, it can't. Now, I'm not trying to paint out that this healthy lifestyle is somehow gloomy and depressing, because it's a different feeling. It's a feeling like you may never have experienced before. It is a feeling of vitality and energy, of determination and strength. Because life is not easy. And we know life is not easy. And any time you've ever achieved anything great in your life, was it easy? I'll ask you that now. Was it easy when you got that qualification? Was it easy to get that job? Was it easy to start a family? Was it easy to meet that person and keep that relationship going? All of these things, the most worthwhile things in your life, were they easy to achieve? Of course not. It's hard work. But because there's so much meaning, and because you know that by putting in the effort and putting in the work, you will achieve things in life and make your life better, you are willing to put that work in and you are willing to go through that difficulty, and you became stronger as a result of it. But for some reason, we believe that when it comes to health and fitness, we're somehow missing the secret and we're missing the trick, and it must be super easy and super quick and super fun for all these fit people out there, and I just need to find that little trick and that little secret. The secret is that there is no secret. You just have to hit that exercise and you just have to tighten up that diet. There is no secret. There really is no secret. So we're going to set that bar high. And the reason we set that bar high is there's a fantastic old Chinese proverb that says, if I aim for the stars, I might hit the ceiling. But if I aim for the ceiling, then I'll never get off the ground. And if you set the bar too low, this is going to be sending a signal to yourself that you don't believe in yourself, that you don't have the self-confidence and the self-worth and the self-esteem to achieve what you actually would like. Let's do some magic wand thinking. If I could wave a magic wand and you could have the body that you want, how does it look? What does that look like? What does that feel like? If I can just do all the work for you by waving a magic wand, what does it look like? Right, that is your goal. That is your goal. Now, there may be that little voice inside you that goes, oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to achieve that. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That is all a part of it. And that's that negative voice of low self-esteem and low self-worth. But we're just going to ignore that now. It really does come down to setting that bar unrealistically high. My target is to look like Captain America. That's what I want to look like. Now, I'm fully aware that may never happen, but that is not going to stop me striving towards it. By striving towards that bigger goal, that's how we make progress. Because if you aim too low, you're not even going to get started, because your self-esteem will be too low, because you've almost talked yourself out of it straight out of the gate. Most people set that bar so low that they could jump over it all day. Nothing gets achieved that way. Set that bar nice and high. So when we come down to the specifics of this, because people often ask, how much cardio do I need to do? Is it 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 5 times a week? Should I train shorter amounts and more often, or should I train like once a week but longer? What about the intensity? A lot of this is utterly unnecessary. So this is the good news that I have for you. It's almost like the bad news that I have is that it's not going to be easy, and there's no easy way around it. It's going to be hard work. We have to acknowledge that. We have to respect that. We have to understand the nature of the beast that we are fighting. But make no mistake, this is a fight for your life. This is the greatest thing that you can do for yourself and the people around you, and it is worth it. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it going to be worth it? You're goddamn right it is. It really, really is. It will give you the greatest feeling. A feeling that you probably haven't felt before. A feeling of achievement, a feeling of accomplishment, a feeling of security. A feeling of high confidence, a feeling of high self-esteem, and a feeling that anything is possible. Easy? No. Worth it? Yes. So the bad news is it's not easy. But the good news is it's incredibly simple. It is breathtakingly simple. Again, the industry and all of these people trying to sell you products and programs and diet plans and all of this, everything is overcomplicated. But it is so simple. It comes down to basic laws of physics. You must consume fewer calories than you expend. You must burn more calories than you eat. It is as simple as that. In fact, just telling you that now, you are now a weight loss expert. You now know everything that anybody could ever need to know in order to lose weight. Burn more calories than you eat. 6 words. 6 words, and that is your PhD in weight loss. It never ever gets more complicated than that. It is breathtakingly simple. So how much exercise should you do in order to lose weight? You do as much as you can. And can you do it every day? Yes, of course you can. Of course you can. Is that's not crazy to suggest that? Of course you can. Now, there may come a time when your fitness has improved to a point where you can get out there and run 10K. Should you be running 10K every day? Of course not. So a lot of it just comes down to simple common sense. How much exercise should you do? As much as you can. Is there a specific exercise that's better? Well, the best exercise is the one that you actually do. So the one that you enjoy the most, and maybe it is just walking, maybe it's running, maybe it's cycling, maybe you like to go kayaking, I don't know, whatever it is, any activity that burns calories, if you enjoy it, then that is the exercise for you. Because if I tell you that it has to be running, and you absolutely hate running, but you love cycling, but I've told you that it has to be running, then you're never going to do it. It has to be the activity that connects with you, that really speaks to you, because that's the one that you're going to be more likely to do. So, how much to do? As much as you can. Can you do it every day? Yes. It's as simple as that when it comes to exercise. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't let your mind get in the way. Most of the time, we don't realize how many calories we're supposed to be burning. We are active beings. You are made up of the same material as animals, and we are supposed to be constantly moving. But we're in a very sedentary society, and sedentary means that we just stay still. We don't do anything. We're often sat at desks, and then we're sat in cars, and then we're sat watching TV, and then we're sat at restaurants. There's very little movement happening, but the human body is designed to move, and it's designed to express energy, and we do this through our exercise. In terms of diet, and this is the big one. This is the one that most people struggle so much with. And again, is it easy? Nope. Is there some secret easy way of doing this? Nope. Is it worth it? Yes. Is it simple? Yes. Ask yourself this. If you want to lose weight, why are you eating chocolate every day? Why are you? And I know this is tough, this is challenging. I had to ask myself these very same questions. And I'm not saying that you're never ever going to eat chocolate ever again or never eat pizza ever again. But I want to ask you, how much do you respect yourself? How much do you love yourself? How much do you value yourself, your worth, your health? How much do you value these things? Because you can't be feeling very good about yourself when you're still eating pizza long after you're full, when you're guzzling down yet another glass of wine or another beer. You can't feel very good about yourself when you've decided you want to lose weight and then you find yourself eating chocolate. It leads to this very depressing negative cycle where we self-sabotage, where it's essentially a form of self-violence. It's a form of self-harm, that we are overeating even though we know we shouldn't be. I want to ask you, do you feel like you have a choice when it comes to your eating? Because trust me, I understand what it feels like when you feel like you don't have a choice. When you feel like you're locked into these habits and you recognize that it's going to be tough to break these habits. It is not nearly as tough as you think it might be. So people often ask me, what is my diet like? In order to lose that weight, and just to remind you, I used to weigh 140 kilograms and I now weigh 85 kilograms. I lost a significant amount of weight, and the vast majority of that was through diet. And people get a bit funny about the word diet now. Well, whatever, okay? Call it whatever you want to call it. It's the amount of food that you're eating. So what did I do? What did I eat? Well, it was quite simple. I went to Google and I typed in, what do bodybuilders eat? I typed in, what do athletes eat? I typed in, what do people who have lost weight eat? What are these foodstuffs? I did a very brief amount of research, and probably in the space of a couple of days, I learnt every single thing that I needed to know about nutrition and diet in order to lose this weight permanently. It essentially comes down to trying not to eat so much processed food, to try and in fact, no, it's not about try. It's not about try. It's just to stop doing it. Just stop eating this chocolate and this pizza and this processed stuff. If I was to ask you to be fully honest with yourself now, there is no room for any delusion. There is no room for any self-delusion here. Which foods are you eating that are making you overweight? I guarantee you know exactly which ones it is that is doing this. These are the foods that you must give up. That you must say, no, I'm not having this anymore. I am not going to stay addicted to these foods. I am not going to eat the foods that make me sick. That I recognize that these foods cause a very brief amount of pleasure in my brain. That's all that's happening here. You eat that chocolate and you get a little dopamine spike. All of those feel-good chemicals, they are so temporary and so short-lived. You don't need it. And I know that on some level, you don't want it. You don't want to be shoveling in this bad food anymore. It has to go. This is when we start to get this feeling of, hey, maybe I have a choice. Maybe I don't need to eat those foods. What would happen? What would happen now if you did not eat any of those treat foods that you're calling a treat food? The chocolate, the pizza, the processed stuff, the burgers, the booze, all of that. If you simply cut all of that stuff out for a whole month, 30 days, do you think you would be fitter, healthier, and happier at the end of the 30 days? Of course you would. Of course you would. And so that is what we need to do. And this is what I did. I looked up what foods do bodybuilders eat, do physique athletes eat, what do competitive sports people eat. And surprise, surprise, they all eat the same sorts of foods. They eat a diet that is high in protein. And we get our protein from lean meats, fish, dairy products like milk, eggs, these foods that are rich in natural sources of protein. They eat carbohydrate sources, and I think we all know what carbs are now. Carbohydrate sources that are what we would term low glycemic index, and stay with me if this is sounding a little too technical, but essentially carbohydrate is your body's go-to fuel source. And if something has a high glycemic index, it means it's high in glucose, and it means it's almost sugar. Sugar, refined sugar, is the highest glycemic index that we have. Pure glucose essentially scores 100 on the glycemic index. Now, all carbohydrates are somewhere on this line. It goes from 0 to 100, and glucose, pure sugar, is 100. So we want to choose fuel sources that are as low on the glycemic index as possible. And these food sources are as follows: oats, vegetables such as broccoli, carrots. Green vegetables is the gold standard. Green vegetables are the healthiest things that you could eat, and you should be eating a lot of green vegetables if you're trying to lose weight. Root vegetables such as potatoes, and you often see sweet potato rather than white potato. Actually, it doesn't matter a great deal. It comes down more to the method of cooking, but sweet potato is slightly lower on the glycemic index than white potato. You have your things like brown rice, although to be honest, basmati rice and long grain rice isn't that far away from brown rice, so any form of rice. All of these things that we can prepare at home, and we avoid deep frying them or battering them or anything like that. Just prepare it in ways that don't add calories. And then we have fat sources that are not processed, that have undergone as little processing as possible. So the best sort of fat sources comes from nuts and seeds, and comes from olive oils and things of that nature. And that really is it. Now, I'd be willing to bet that everything that I just ran through there isn't news to you. I'm willing to bet that you probably knew the vast majority of that information. But for some reason, we like to overcomplicate things in our head, and we start getting all tied up in, oh yeah, what about this? What about keto? What about Slimming World? What about this, that, and the other? If anybody has ever lost weight, they have done so because they burned more calories than they consumed. That is the absolute bottom line. So why not keep it simple and cut out the middleman? You can calculate how many calories that you should be eating simply by going on Google. You can type in your height and weight and it will tell you what your daily calorie expenditure is. Your goal then is to consume fewer calories than this number. And that really is it. You are now a weight loss expert. You have all the information you need in order to make radical, permanent changes to your body's composition. I believe information is not the problem when it comes to weight loss. The problem that I see, the problem that I encountered, and the problem that I see in everyone else is the motivation to achieve it. And it is hard work. And this is why it's hard to break habits where for so long now you have a stressful day at work, you have a glass of wine or a bar of chocolate and it makes you feel a bit better. I'm not judging anyone for doing that because life is hard. Life is very, very difficult. Being a human being is tough. And when we have these little mechanisms that have supported us for so long, because we may be dealing with some deep emotional problems, we may be dealing with some mental health, we have high levels of anxiety, these feelings of depression, there's difficulty in our lives and everything is chaotic. And these brief little moments of eating that chocolate and having that drink, just feeling good, just even if it is so brief, it is very, very difficult to give that up. But it is crucial. It is absolutely crucial because what we are going to be building is an inner level of strength, an inner level of resilience, because we say, no, I don't need this comfort. I don't need these little chemical hits of dopamine in order to cope. I have my own coping mechanisms within me. I am strong. I respect myself. I value myself, and I am not going to keep burying my feelings under food and booze and drugs. I am not going to do it. I am going to build the strength in myself to turn my life around. And if there are elements of my life that are stressing me out and causing me to be miserable, I am going to change those things. If there are people in my life that need to go, then they are going to go. If I need to change my job, then I'm going to change my job. Whatever it is that I need to do, I am going to do it. Because I believe in myself. Because I respect myself. Because I have enough value and self-worth to say, no, I am not here to be miserable. I am not here to be unhealthy and unhappy. I am not here to be sick and depressed and anxious. I am here to be happy and healthy. And I want to live my life in the fullest expression of everything that it could be. So I am not going to be eating this chocolate and drinking this booze in order to self-medicate these miserable feelings. I am actually going to change my life here. I'm going to stand up for myself and say enough is enough, whatever it takes. whatever it takes, even if I'm exhausted, I got home from work and I'm tired and I just want to reach for that takeaway menu and I don't want to go out for that run, I'm going to do it anyway. Because if I don't change, then my life is not going to change. So I'm not going to get home and just reach for that chocolate and reach for that booze. I'm going out for a run because things need to change. And if I keep going to the easy answer, if I keep going to those easy things in order to self-medicate, in order to just bury those feelings, then nothing in my life is going to change. But right here we can say to ourselves, I choose to change. I choose to fight back. If you're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. If you're going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind. Go all the way. It could mean not eating for 3 or 4 days. It could mean freezing on a park bench. It could mean jail. It could mean derision, mockery, isolation. Isolation is the gift. All the others are a test of your endurance, of how much you really want to do it. And you will do it, despite rejection and the worst odds, and it will be better than anything else you can imagine. If you're going to try, go all the way. There is no other feeling like that. You will be alone with the gods, and the nights will flame with fire. Do it, do it, do it, do it. All the way, all the way. You will ride life straight to perfect laughter. It's the only good fight there is. That is a poem called Roll the Dice by Charles Bukowski. Now the sentiment here with that poem, this is a poem that's been with me since I've been doing this transformation. And the sentiment here is that if you really want to do something, you will do it regardless of the cost, whatever it takes. And this is crucial. And it's going to require sacrifice. And if that means sacrificing going to the pub on a Friday night, and that means losing a few friends, then so be it. Because you are in the process of literally saving your own life. So if that means losing a few friends, then so be it. If that means occasionally being hungry, then so be it. Skip a meal. You're not gonna die. You're not gonna die. In our society, we're so used to being so comfortable, to going through no discomfort at all. The second it gets cold, the central heating goes on. If it gets too warm, the air conditioning goes on. The moment you feel a little bit peckish, we eat a full meal. We don't have to walk anywhere, we just drive. We are so poorly conditioned to deal with discomfort and pain that the moment we start to feel a little bit of hunger or a little bit of discomfort, we start to think that something's wrong. What I want to tell you is exactly here what Charles Bukowski was saying in this poem, that if you're going to try, you go all the way. There is an element of aggression to it. When you choose to stand up for yourself, you are going to need to learn this element of controlled aggression, because too many people, especially if you're struggling with addictions and your health and your weight, too many people are just doormats, just going along with whatever. It takes a level of aggression. It felt like an act of defiance when I started going for that run. Because I would lace up those trainers and I was going, and the people around me would say, "Oh, but it's raining. You should just let yourself off the hook today. Didn't you go for a run yesterday?" I said, "No, I'm not letting myself off the hook. I need to do this." And I wouldn't listen to anyone because people start chirping up and start chiming in with, they think you should do this and they think you should do that. Yeah, well, you've been going along with other people's opinion of what you should do your whole life. And where has that got you? It is time you started listening to that inner voice that wants something different, that inner voice that truly wants what is best for you. So what is best for you? If you're going to try, go all the way. So if that means not going to the pub and losing a few friends, if it means when family and friends have that takeaway around you and you're getting out your rice and tuna and chicken, then so be it. So be it. No, not everybody is going to understand this goal and this target. And for a little while, people will have many things to say. In fact, it's better to not really tell anyone what you're doing. Don't announce to the world that it's time to lose weight, that you're going to do this thing. You just do it. You just do it and you just get started. And it takes a level of just standing up for yourself with this level of aggression, because people can doubt what you say, but nobody can doubt what you do. When I first started losing this weight, everybody would say, yeah, right, sure, you can't, because I'd always been overweight, I'd always been obese, I'd always had a problem with alcohol. And people didn't really believe it when I started training. And it came to a point when I stopped talking about it altogether, because I realized that it has nothing to do with my words. It has everything to do with my actions. So I decided that this is what I was going to do, and it was going to happen regardless, whatever it takes. People can doubt what you say, but nobody can doubt what you do. And during this process, you will lose friends along the way. Well, so-called friends, because one thing that you must keep an ear out for is these toxic, negative people that they just drag you down. These low energy people who they just don't get it. They just don't get it. And there's so many people who would text me and say, oh, you're coming to the pub tonight. Say, no, I've told you, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not drinking anymore. I don't want to be stuck in these bad habits anymore. And sometimes it just takes a while, a little bit of adjustment, because when somebody changes, it's odd and we challenge it and we question it. Most people will, sooner or later, they'll get the message and they'll be like, oh, okay, good for them, they've changed. Some people won't. Some people will keep sending those messages through saying, no, you should come to the pub, you should come to the pub. If you have people like that in your life, cut them out. No mercy, with no mercy at all. If you have toxic, negative, low energy people around you that are constantly trying to get you to slip back into old ways, you cut them the fuck out. And you do so with an element of no mercy, because I need to save my own life. So I don't have time for it. I don't have any time or any energy for it. You're either on my side or you're in my way. And if you're in my way, you get out of my way. This element of controlled aggression, because it's not about being aggressive, but it's about being assertive and confident in yourself. It's essentially, you have to realize you're in a fight for your life. And when you're in a fight for your life, you give it everything that you have. You have to be in that fight to win it. I sometimes liken it to being in a fight with the devil. You are in a fight with the devil himself, and you had better put him 6 feet under the ground. Every day that I do it, every day that I lace up those trainers and I go for that run, I am getting another punch in on that deadly enemy. Every time that I prepare a healthy meal, a calorie counted, calorie controlled meal, I am putting another punch in on that deadly enemy every single time, because I will win this fight. I am not taking a loss. I spent many, many years taking many, many losses. No more. No more. I'm not losing another fight. And this time it's a fight to the death. And if one of us is going down, the enemy is going down, not me. If you get a shot at the devil himself, you take that shot. Sometimes in life, you have to hit hard. You have to hit hard and hit fast. It is a crucial element of the human experience. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a man, woman, young, old, any of that. That spirit lives in you. The fighting spirit, it lives in you. Even if you're saying to yourself, oh, I'm just not that sort of person. Oh, I'm all nice and I'm all nice and lovely and kind to everybody around you. You're not fooling me. You're not fooling me. I know that there is a fighting spirit in you, and we need to wake that fighting spirit up. That spirit that says, no more. No more bad food, no more drugs, no more alcohol, no more toxic, negative people around me. I am going after the life that I would like to live, and nothing is going to stop me. Sometimes you have to hit so hard that you win the next fight too. Mike Tyson, I love him. I love him. His attitude and his aggression won fights. There were times when Mike Tyson won the fight before he even stepped into the ring, because he was fearsome in his aggression. People simply got out of his way. There was a time when he was so wound up and angry in the dressing room that he punched the wall. And the force of that punch, the sound of that punch hitting the wall, his opponent in the opposite dressing room heard it and was so terrified of the sheer force and power that he lost all his nerve, he lost all his bottle, and he lost the fight in the first round. It was purely based on the level of aggression that he didn't even have to step into the ring. It was the sheer aggression alone that won the fight. So sometimes we have to dig in with that level of stubbornness, with that level of aggression, that actually I'm going to lose weight. Whatever it takes, come hell or high water. If I need to be hungry, I'm going to be hungry. If it means that I run twice today, then I run twice today. Yes, my ankles hurt. Yes, my knees hurt. Yes, I'm out of breath. Yes, I'm sweating. Yes, everything in my mind is screaming at me to stop. Go back. You can't do this. You can't do this. This isn't you. You're just a fat person. You're unfit. You shouldn't be out here running around. Yeah. Roger that. I'm not listening. Not anymore. Now I need to start fighting. Because I value myself and I am going to lose this weight. And your mind will come up with an infinite number of negative voices. It will come up with an infinite number of reasons for you to turn back. You need to have a level of controlled aggression to say no. I'm going to push forwards, whatever it takes, however much pain. If I need to skip a meal, I'll skip a meal. If I need to, because you are saving your own life, what if it meant actually I can't go to my friend's birthday party because I know there's going to be booze and food around that I shouldn't be eating, and I've set myself this goal now. And so what? So you might upset a few people. So what? You're not going to die. You need to get this done. So much more positivity will result from this. When people around you start seeing what you're doing, it lights them up. It raises other people up. If they see you happier and healthier, then they will be happier and healthier as a result. So if it means you have to blow off a few social occasions or even drop a few friends out altogether, it could even mean, and believe me when I say this, if you need to cut out a family member who isn't helping you, who isn't supporting you, who isn't there for you, if they're making things harder for you, and you've set about to try and save your own life, and all they're doing is getting in the way with old, toxic, negative patterns, then if they need to go, it is sad to say it, but they need to go. Because I care about you. I really do. I don't want you to be unhappy. I don't want you to be unhealthy. I don't want you to be sad, sick, miserable, addicted. And there are far too many people out there in that state. And I believe a big part of that is because of old toxic patterns and toxic people around them who aren't loving them, who aren't supporting them, who aren't raising them up, who don't want them to succeed, who don't want them to be well, who don't want them to be happy. And I'm here to say, you cut them out. If you have people like that around you, regardless of who they are to you, they need to go. Even if that's losing some of the people who you previously thought was closest to you, if they need to go, then they need to go. Because I want you to be happy. I want you to be healthy, and the world does. And I know that somewhere in there, deep down, you do too. Now, it may be buried under many years of conditioning. It may be buried under years of low self-esteem, low confidence, low self-worth. The world may have beaten you down. You might have been hurt many, many times. There may have been so many times that you have tried to turn your life around and seemingly failed. Well, I say try again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and you keep going. You keep after it. You keep going time and time again. Do you think that it's just been a clear run for me? Do you think that it's just been, once I started having that feeling of going out and having a nice run, do you think I've just had wonderful runs ever since? No, it's a fight every single day. And there are times when I've completely fucked it up. There are times when I've relapsed into alcohol and lost days to alcohol. And I wake up on the other side of it like, damn, what happened there? I thought I had this. I thought I'd sorted this out. But my mind had other plans. So I was like, okay, well, roger that. Something went wrong this time. I need to figure out what happened so that next time I can come back stronger and come back stronger. And yes, there's been times when I've felt like giving up. And there are times when I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to eat that pizza. I'm just going to eat that chocolate. To hell with it. But I always come back stronger as a result of it. So I don't care how many times you've tried and failed in the past. If there have been many, many attempts to turn it around, all those have done is it's just been each time that you've tried and failed, that's a lesson. There was something to learn from that attempt. What worked, what didn't work. And now we go again and again and again and again, through defeat after defeat, through mockery, isolation, derision. He was right when he said it, Charles Bukowski. He really was right when he said it. That you will ride life straight to perfect laughter. It's the only good fight there is. Because there's no victory like it. Every time I step on the scales and I've just achieved that little bit more, or I go to that workout and I lift that weight and it's just a little bit heavier than I've lifted before, or I go for that run, it's a little bit quicker and a little bit longer. Every single time, even if it's a tiny little improvement, it is such a huge victory over everything that I've been through, all of the darkness and the negativity and the toxic people, every time I gain even just a slight bit of fitness, I'm just slightly leaner, slightly stronger, it is the biggest victory, and it feels incredible. It is such a feeling of achievement and accomplishment. And it's because of all the darkness, because of all the difficulty that I've experienced in getting to that point. It makes that victory so much sweeter. And all I want now is to give that feeling to other people, because I just see it everywhere. So many people that are beaten down, that are miserable, that are sick, with low, just feeling bad about themselves. Just not feeling good, not living their life as it could be. And it doesn't have to be that way. Controlled aggression. I want to go back to Mike Tyson. This level of confidence that he had, this level of aggression that won fights before he even stepped in the ring, this is the spirit that you can have. Because every single day that you get up and go after it, you are tapping into that fierce champion spirit that lives in everyone. After all, many humans came before you, and all of them survived. And as you know, life is not easy, and yet there is a long line of people who came before you who survived and succeeded. Mike Tyson said, "I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lennox is a conqueror? No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from their cloth. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah." Imagine the level of confidence that it takes to say something like that to a reporter. That is a level of confidence that you have within you. You just haven't woken it up yet. I believe in you. And the reason that I can say that with whoever you are, the reason I can say it with such confidence is because all it took for me was to believe in myself. And I turned things around from some of the darkest places. I was the sort of person, if you met me and saw me, you would think, there is no way he is ever going to turn his life around. But I did. And so that's why I believe in you. Because I know that such amazing things can be accomplished just by applying some effort, by applying some intensity, by applying some thought, by switching up your attitude and perspective. You can have anything that you want. So that is everything I have for you on weight loss. Keep it simple and apply some effort, apply some intensity. Weight, then what I have to say to you is change is possible. It is possible and it can happen, and this process of transformation can start today. So get out there. Whatever it is, just lace up those trainers, get yourself out there, get moving, start thinking about all the foods that you put into your body, because massive change is possible, and I believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself just yet. You can find me on Facebook, Corin Bryant, motivational speaker and personal trainer. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to put those on there. The next 2 episodes of this podcast will be on mental health and addiction, because I focused primarily on the physical fitness here. But the 2 other elements of my radical transformation was with my mental health, recovering from severe depression and anxiety, and my recovery from addiction, to go from 25 cans of cider a day to being securely abstinent. These are the big transformations that have happened for me. So, Corin Bryant, motivational speaker and personal trainer, and keep an eye out or an ear out for the next 2 episodes of this podcast. I will leave you with these words by William Ernest Henley, a poem called Invictus. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.